When you're stuck, think unique. Hi, I'm Brian Pombo. Welcome back to Brian J. Pombo Live. Today we are going to be discussing uniqueness. What is uniqueness? When it comes to business, when it comes to work within your business or work in a business, and you're trying to get attention, you just have to be a little bit different. You just have to be a little bit unique. It doesn't take much. And I've got a little story to kind of illustrate this for you. Okay, when I was a kid, I've always been drawn to coming up with things that I could sell, even as a really young kid. I mean, I don't know, second, third grade, something like that. At one point, I had my grandma had taught me how to braid yarn into little necklaces and bracelets. And back then, this was the 80s, mid to late 80s, and the thing that was really hot back then was like plastic bracelets and things that everyone did them all the same way. They got taught how to braid them, and everyone had these little keychains and everything that they had made out of plastic and string, very specific types of thread. And everyone kind of did. They all kind of looked alike. And I was wondering, I wonder if I could braid this yarn and do a couple different colors, and do it for like sports teams. Take a couple colors and make them sports teams, or take a couple colors and call it something else. This is the Christmas one. It's red and green. And so I just made a whole bunch of different ones, and I just did them. For one day a week, we hung out at my grandpa and grandma's house, and she had all this yarn. It was free to us as kids. We didn't know the difference. She said, "Yeah, you can make as much as you want." So I'd go and I combine a few, and I'd make a bunch just while we're sitting there talking. And I just got so good with my hands where I just kind of go automatically, like a person that is into knitting or anything else. I imagine it's the same thing. Once you train your hands how to do it, it's just automatic. You could do it, and you could talk, and you could do something else, and it's just you just go to town. So I ended up making all of these things. I had this little old candy tin container that I kept them all in. So what I did is I started selling them. I started selling them to kids at school. And the only reason why it gained any attention, for one thing, I made up crazy rhyming names. I don't know, I had one that was like light blue, and I called it Moo Cow Blue or something like that. I just made these wacky names for them and would sell them. And if someone wanted one that I didn't have one of, or someone else got the last one, they say, "I want one just like that." I say, "Okay, I'll bring it to you next week." And I'd write their name on the list and do that. And I just sold them for, a quarter or a dime here or there. But for a kid, that's a big deal. Just being able to sell anything was a big deal. But it was unique because it was different delivery system. It was a different way of doing the same thing. It was a different way of talking about the same thing. Everyone else had this stuff that they were passing around and playing with, but mine looked different than everybody else's. It was made out of yarn. It was different wacky colors. It was braided in a different way. And so that's what got me attention. Well, people started trying to do the same things, started trying to sell them, started trying to copy me. Over time, that died off. I can't remember. I think I actually may have gotten in trouble. I think they got a bit too popular, and they told me not to bring them to school anymore. Well, later on that year, I think, or possibly the year after, I was. This is another thing I think I got from my grandma's house. Is she had got me these coloring books that they used to have these ones. I don't know if they still have them. The Color and Trace. So a typical color book with all the famous characters in it, Garfield or whatever, and then they would have tracing paper in between. So not only could you color the page, you could trace the character, and you have a brand new page that you could also color. So I started doing this. I started tracing them and then cutting them out and coloring them with paper with colored pencils. I'd color them with colored pencils, and then I'd make them, and they look like stained glass windows type of thing. And I tell people, hey, you could take these, you could put them in your window. I said, I've got Garfield, I've got Batman, I've got this, I've got that. Who are you looking for? And I'd take, for the girls that wanted stuff, I'd take my sister's color books and use those. And then I started using other things. I'd take comic books covers and stuff and trace those. And then I'd get a pad of tracing paper, which you could buy separately, and take the tracing paper and just trace anything. So I had a folder full of tracings that I had done, and then would color them in. And I'd take requests, and I'd sell these things to people. So what was unique about it is that nobody had anything like it. For one thing, most of the kids aren't out there selling stuff at recess. I mean, give me a break. But for some reason, I always had this push to do that type of thing. It's all about being unique. It's all about showing up just a little bit. I mean, it doesn't take much. Showing up a little bit differently, having a little bit of a different story, having a little bit of a different purpose. It doesn't take much to stand out. That's what uniqueness is all about. When they talk about a unique selling proposition, that is what they're talking about. It's about standing out against everybody else, against all the other noise out there. Even people that aren't, you wouldn't consider competition. You're always in competition for other people when it comes to the eyeballs and ears of the people you're trying to get in touch with. Whoever they are, everything else in their life is competing for their attention, and you got to look at it that way. So if you're really looking to get over the competition, uniqueness is a huge piece of it. Huge piece of it, and there's a whole bunch of ways that you could dice that up. You could read books or write books on how to be unique. There's a million ways of doing it. It takes a lot of creativity, but that's only one way to be able to beat out competition. I've got 8 more ways, and more, but 8 more specific ways to beat out your competition when I talk about the 9 ways of Amazon proofing your business. You can find out how to do this specifically for your business if you sign up for one of my Amazon Proof Strategy sessions. You can find it over at brianjpombo.com/Amazon, and you can find more videos over there. We're putting these out every day. New videos, new concepts. We talk about principles, talk about strategies and tactics that you can use in your business. Hopefully you found this helpful. We'll be back here tomorrow either way. Hey, you have a great night. In the meantime, get out there and let the magic happen.